I like to remember Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, and think about what must it have been like for him to grow up in the countryside of Illinois as a kid, largely on his own, splitting logs. How do you go from there to being President of the United States, freeing the slaves, and unifying a country that was breaking up? Abraham Lincoln was a very hard worker. He taught himself his school on the dirt floor of his cabin by a candlelight. And from his hard work splitting logs, his good humor, his diligence and work ethic, his persistence in saying, I want to know, I want to learn, God was gracious to him and brought him up into the presidency after many, many failures and hardships. He was in an unexpected situation, given where he went. You wouldn't expect the President of the United States to come from some backwoods farm in Illinois, but he did. I think we can draw some connections to where you and I are right now. We're in our homes. We're unexpectedly studying online. We wish we were with our friends, but here we are. Like Abraham Lincoln, we're in an unexpected place, but I think like Abraham Lincoln as well, God has great things in store for us if we're persistent and diligent. We've now had 4 weeks of our online learning, and if you're like me, probably the sheen and the brightness and the excitement has worn off just a little bit. I'm still really enjoying things, but it's not as exciting and new as it used to be 4 weeks ago. I've heard that this month of April, has been called by some the forgotten month, or it's going to be the forgotten month. In other words, it's a month in which so much is different and changed and hard that there's no real learning happening, no productivity happening. We just have to kind of write off this month as gone. But I don't think that's the case. I think God has placed this month of April and the next month of May right in front of us for it to be far from forgotten, for it to be redeemed, for us to do really good work in it. And I think we've done that really well so far. There's certain aspects of life that are unexpected, and yet that carry a whole lot of opportunity for us to do good work for Christ's kingdom. In addition to thinking about Abraham Lincoln, I like to remember the first pilgrims and pioneers that came over to America. They saw a great land in front of them. Lots of pastures, plains, mountains, rivers, untamed territory. There were no jobs, there were no schools, but there was a whole lot of work. God had put the country in front of them with a lot of work to do, even though there were no jobs, there was no internet, there were no stores, but they had work to do. That's where you are. You have work to do. Yes, you have the things that the pilgrims and pioneers didn't have, but you also have the unexpected that they and that Abraham Lincoln had. My mother used to tell me and my brothers and sisters something really important that I want to share with you. She said, do the next thing. Do the next thing. This was particularly important in a time that was a little tricky for us and hard. Maybe we didn't like how something was going, and she would tell us, do the next thing. Maybe we couldn't figure out a problem. Maybe we were having trouble with a friendship. She would say, do the next thing. That wasn't the only solution, but it's a really important one, that sometimes the best thing to do is to keep moving forward in faith. Let's say you're a bike rider and you want to ride the Leadville 100. This is a race where you have to ride 100 miles over the mountains that starts and finishes in Leadville. It's very difficult. Some would say it's almost impossible. But what do you do to complete the Leadville 100? Well, one of the main things you have to do is the next thing. If you're on a bike, what's the next thing? Put the right pedal down, then put the left pedal down, then put the right pedal down. And you're going to get to the end of the race eventually. It's going to take a lot of hard work, but if you do the next thing in faith, keep your head down and work hard, God will be faithful. So here's my encouragement to you. Keep on being faithful. Keep doing the next thing. Be diligent with what's right in front of you, and don't worry too much about what's 100 miles away. Don't worry too much about what's at the end of the school year even. Worry about what God has for you today and ask yourself, am I being faithful in that thing? And God will be faithful to you. He's here. He always holds us in the palm of his hand, and he will bless us.